what do you guys think needs to happen before we can really get a handle on what the banks are doing as a nation? You know, we need to get a handle on this before things go wrong. Is there anything that we can do? And we'll start with you, Reed.
Wolfpack.com.
Excellent.
What did you say, wolfpack.com? Yeah, that's basically what I was going to say. I mean, whenever you get a story like this that has anything to do with corporations or banks or anything having an influence in our legislative processes and our government, the answer is get money out of politics. Get that influence out of politics, because that's the only way you're ever going to start finding people and electing people that are going to actually start working for the people again, the way that it is meant to be, rather than for these corporations. So, I mean, I feel like I repeat myself, but it bears repeating.
Absolutely. Daniel, what do you think?
Until we can, like Wolf-Pack, until we can effectively eliminate the problem of having paid lobbying and having 300 lobbyists to one congressman, the American interest will always be served from the interest of the corporations and not for the American people. That's really it. We need a 28th Amendment that basically bans paid lobbying from our politicians. Otherwise, you're always going to have this oligarchy and this huge economic disparity in this country between the gap in rich and poor.
Now, why don't I ask you, until we get something like that, which could take a very, very long time to get, don't get me wrong, we might not have enough time for that before an economic crash, because it's $1.2 quadrillion, 20 times the entire world economy in the derivatives markets, and if somebody makes a bad, like a credit default swap, ooh, for more than the entire GDP of America, because it could happen. What are we going to do to prevent that? And I think really it's education, letting people know that the banks are trying to, they're going to screw you, and that they're actively trying to screw you. And I think that if you get enough outrage, that some of these congressmen are going to go, man, my votes depend on this, and yeah, I depend on the money, but if nobody votes for me, I'm kind of screwed, because I want to hang on to this office and keep getting paid. So other than getting money out of politics, I think that certainly educating the people and getting people together, letting people know how they can get a hold of their congressman, en masse. I mean, just call the shit out of them. Have everybody call the shit out of them and go, you really need to support Dodd-Frank, and not let them gut it. And sadly, most people don't know that this kind of stuff is going on. So
once you can get the influence of money out of there, is when you can start holding those responsible accountable for things. Looking up here, not like we do it daily or quite often, but here in Canada, we do and have put bankers in jail who do shady dealings and screw the public.
Iceland as well, and they're a model. They're actually a model for what I would love to see happen. Jailed their bankers, nationalized the banks, and said, we're not going to take your bullshit anymore. And now look at them. They're in an absolute boom. They're doing so much better than every other country in Europe, in the Eurozone, that has embraced austerity, is like especially Greece. And what scares me about Greece is that in response to austerity, they're getting into right-wing authoritarianism, neo-Nazism. It's just not a good situation there. But I don't want to get too far off.
No, but that's if you can start holding those accountable who are responsible for these banking atrocities, for these things, that's when those who are responsible start to go, hey, wait a minute, let me think about what I'm doing first. But as it is right now, too big to fail, right? Too big to fail. We can't put them in jail because they're too important to us. And that's the attitude they live with. And until you start holding those people accountable, they are not responsible.
Right, and you need to hold them accountable to the people. And in order for that to happen, as well as getting money out of politics, you have to get the people involved. The people have to be angry. And you have to have a large majority of people getting together and being angry. And in order to do that, people have to know what's going on. And people have to be educated. Because at this moment, they know, the American people know they're getting screwed. They just don't know how or who exactly is screwing them. So I think education goes a long way.